Lawmen to ramp up intelligence-driven operations in St. James following firearm seizure. Following the seizure of 2 high-powered rifles and 21 assorted rounds of ammunition in Salt Springs, St. James on Tuesday, March 7, lawmen have since ramped up their intelligence-driven operation in the parish. In collaboration with several arms of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defence Force, the operations will be geared towards crime reduction as lawful men seek to enhance public safety across the division. Meanwhile, the latest seizure occurred subsequent to the Montego Bay Police conducting an operation in the Perry Street area sometime on Wednesday afternoon. 1.40 Smith and Wesson pistol with a magazine containing 1 round of ammunition was seized. 2 suspects were apprehended in relation to the seizure. This discovery brings to 99 the total amount of firearms seized in the parish since 2023, in comparison to 131 in 2022. Opposition suggests trained graduate teachers should be offered gross salary of no less than $291,000 per month. Opposition spokesman on education and training Damon Crawford has suggested that a trained graduate teacher should be offered a gross salary of no less than $291,000 each month. Speaking at a virtual press briefing on March 8, Mr. Crawford said the $291,000 would cover the basic needs of the teachers. According to Mr. Crawford, the proposed monthly salary would cost the government an estimated $19 billion. Meantime, Mr. Crawford has described as unreasonable claims that there might be political influence in the ongoing discussions about the public sector reconstructed compensation system. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark, in his budget presentation in Parliament, expressed concern that partisan politics was wavering its way into the wage negotiations. However, at the morning press briefing, Mr. Crawford rejected the claim, describing it as unreasonable and baseless.
I think the start of the conversation should be a gross salary of no less than $291,000, as was seen by the persons who indicate their current spend, including a mortgage of $46,000. They didn't have a car loan, including food of $50,000, which is about $12,500 per week. A person with 2 children can easily spend that per week. That included transportation, but not a car loan at that point. Those are reasonable numbers. So a $291,000 per month starting point for the band 4, we propose is a reasonable starting point. Within that band is approximately 20,000 teachers, and so our calculations suggest that it would cost an additional $19 billion approximately for that conversation in band 4. So if we should move to that amount, it is by context only a quarter of the additional amounts the government collected, even not expecting that amount in 2022-2023. So the government collected approximately 80 billion more taxes than they expected, and what is necessary to pay the teachers a reasonable salary will be only $19 billion more. This is necessary because it is unfair, in our opinion and in my opinion, that any group, including teachers, taxmen, or any other group, should be asked to sacrifice into perpetuity and to subsidize the government's effort to run a balanced budget or the government's effort to deliver on other services. The teachers, they do have their own obligations. They do have their own rent, their own mortgage, their own children, their own university fees, their own student loan, none of which has been forgiven, none of which has been considered. We find that the accusations being posited by unions, including a statement made by the Minister of Finance in his presentation in Parliament yesterday, that they may be accusations of playing politics with negotiations. We find that these are unreasonable for the persons who are fighting for reasonable remuneration. It therefore is our opinion that the accusation and suggestion of politics is baseless. Indeed, the numbers does not support the ministers or the Jamaica Labour Party's accusations. The last vote of teachers negate this claim. As of the 585 delegates that voted, 560 voted no. This is 96% would have voted no. There is no way a government with 42 seats and a clear majority in Parliament could reasonably assume that 96% of any group would have been politically motivated to vote as they have. Additionally, there is no basis to reject logic and to move to malice when there is sufficient logic for teachers to be resistant of accepting what has been posited and put forward to them.
Portland Police working with Fire Brigade to determine cause of fire, which destroyed 4 shops in Ferry Hill. The Portland Police are working with the Jamaica Fire Brigade to determine the cause of a fire which destroyed 4 shops in Fairy Hill on March 7. The fire, which started around 4 a.m., has left several business people counting their losses. It also followed protests by residents about water disruption and dust nuisance related to road work on Monday. Head of the Portland Police Superintendent Lloyd Darby had expressed concern about social media posts in relation to the cause of the fire.
We are not able to yet determine the cause of the fire. The fire department and the forensic team from the JCF are currently investigating. We are concerned about social media posts that imply that persons associated with MP Marie Vaz carried out the act. The post is also implying that the act is somehow connected to the demonstrations that took place over the dust nuisance with the construction of the road in Portland. We want to put an end to this rumor, and just to point out that the campaign manager of Minister Daryl Vaz was also a victim of that fire. So we want persons to be responsible in what they post, because we don't want anything to incite any form of political animosity or political violence in the parish. So we just want persons to know that there is no truth to these postings.
Former JDF soldier found guilty of being Klansman member. Ex-Jamaica Defense Force JDF soldier Jermaine Robinson was found guilty of being a Klansman gang member on Wednesday by Chief Justice. He was among the 23 alleged gang members still in docks when the proceedings began on Wednesday morning. Robinson was a member of the JDF from August 2015 until 2021. The former army man was said to be the member of the Klansman leader Andre Blackman's Bryan security detail. It was said that he was often where Bryan was. However, Robinson's attorney Roxanne Simmet, in cross-examining the witness who implicated Robinson, had argued that her client hardly had any time to commit crimes, having been stationed in flanker in Montego Bay, St. James, after graduating as a member of the JDF in 2016. She said her client was transferred to Kingston in 2017 and placed in a special corps at Up Park Camp, where he was confined. The witness, however, counted that although Robinson hardly had time due to work, he still played a role in the gang. Police shootings, lawful but awful, says Indicom. The Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom says that while its probes have found that most police shootings are justifiable and result in no charges being laid, the body is suggesting that different approaches be employed to reduce fatalities. The Commission posited this view during Parliament's Internal and External Affairs Committee examination of Indicom's report on Wednesday, at which opposition member Lisa Hanna questioned why most officers involved in fatal shootings were not charged. Indicom's fourth quarter report for 2022 revealed that the Jamaica Constabulary Force (JCF) continued to account for the greatest number of fatal shooting incidents among Jamaican security forces, with cops being responsible for over 100 of the total 134 fatalities for the period. Deputy Indicom Commissioner Hamish Campbell, who offered the response, confirmed that the majority of cops are not charged, noting that 95% of all shooting incidents do not result in a charge. A great majority of the police shootings, to use an American term, are lawful but awful. So the use of force has been necessary and the individual officer is concerned for his or her life or safety of himself or another, he stated. But what is happening for a lot of these cases, the tactics and approach could be different in some of the circumstances, because once a police officer draws the gun, there is almost an inevitable about what will happen. He will certainly use it and resulting in death and injury, he said. He pointed to the instance of the family or friends of a person with mental issues calling the police to help them deal with the individual who has already been causing havoc, distress for the last hour. Within about 3 minutes of the most attendance, the person is shot to death, he said, stressing that the police should have sought to de-escalate the situation and use less lethal weapons, if necessary, instead of using deadly force. Campbell said the data gathered by Indicom on police shootings has been part of an ongoing discussion with the police. This is information for the police to consider how we can change some of these issues, he noted. The purpose of the report, that particular study, was to generate the debate with the police service preliminary because they don't collect the data in that way and they don't have the benefit of the time necessary to look at it in all granular detail, and it is the engendered discussion, he said. According to Indicom's report, during the period of July 2020 to June 2021, 14 officers accounted for 112 deaths, with one officer alone accounting for up to 20 deaths. It also noted that 19 of the 120 men shot and killed had no gun or other weapon and were subjected to at least 300 rounds fired at them. The JCF was the only state agency whose officers were charged for incidents investigated by Indicom in 2022. A total of 15 members were charged during the period. According to the commissioner, the JCF was solely and directly involved in the fatal shooting of 120 people, noting that of the number, 16 fatalities concerned off-duty officers.